What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. Bye, singing dog. Bye, goal.
I pronounce you.
Bye, wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figure it out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hey, has everybody missed me? It's me. I was just waiting and thinking, okay, is this going to go on or is it not going to go on, etc. So, hey, everybody, it's me. I am so happy to be back on the air. Just to remind everybody before I forget real quickly, because Matthew is not quite on the line as of yet, let me just go through the rundown as it relates to the rest of the week. I wish that I could tell you that I actually know for sure who I'm having on my show this Saturday, but I don't. This much I can tell you. Tomorrow, courtesy of the lovely Nubia Duval-Wilson, we're going to be having the famous chef herself, Julia Hartigan, the famous chef herself, is going to be coming on my radio show tomorrow. I am so excited. I can't stand it. 3:30 Central Standard Time. We're going to talk about all of her different dishes, recipes, you name it, all of the accolades, everything that's happened. I wish I could tell you who's coming on Saturday, but this much I do know. It's either going to end up being an author or otherwise somebody who is on an Emmy-nominated show. So please make sure that you tune in for at least today's show, tomorrow's show, and Saturday's show, and I'll beg you. I wish I could also tell you whether I'd be doing it from Milwaukee or New York. See, all of this is up in the air for the next 24 hours. 2 other quick reminders before we start our interview with Matthew. I want to remind everybody 2 different big things coming up. If you follow me, you already know that they both exist, one of which I've been working on for what seems like a year. Art is Alive Film Festival. That's my very first indie film festival. Finally, everything is solidified. October 26th and 27th, we're having our screenings in New York City at the Producers Club and the Crown Theater. October 26th, 27th, we're doing 27 films. Oh, my God, so excited, so excited. 27 films in a matter of 2 days, and then we're having a closing ceremony, and so excited that Matthew's project is going to be involved along with 2 others. So I'm so excited I can't stand it. So please make sure you get to my website or go to the Facebook page, Art is Alive Film Festival. Get your tickets in advance because I believe the theater only holds 60 seats for every showing. All my blocks will be listed, everything. I'm doing it all over Facebook. Also, before October comes, that means September is here, which means silly me decided that I was going to take almost all the films I'm screening in New York City and screen them in Wisconsin first. Yay! So if you're free September 27th and 28th from 1:30 in the afternoon till 11 o'clock at night, that's my 2-day screening event, which is me basically taking the films from New York City, bringing them to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where I live, so all you folks get a chance to be able to look at them. So that's again, reiterating 27th and 28th of September. The name of that is a Celebration of Art in Cinema event. That's what we've called it. It's at Inspiration Studios, which is on South 73rd Street in West Dallas. Do not forget about that. Mark it on your calendar, 27th, 28th. 22 films, 2 industry panels, and 1 about domestic abuse and 1 about drug dependency. So excited to be doing both these events. So without further ado, let's get our honored guest on the line and start speaking with him. Matthew?
Hi, Cindy. How are you tonight?
I got a little nervous there. All of a sudden I saw 1 number, then I saw 3 numbers, and I'm thinking, oh, my God, Matthew is 3 people. So thank God you're only 1. I was scared for a minute there.
I wear a lot of hats, so maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So I want to start off, before I ask you any questions, the most important question, because MJ tells me that you're from Florida. So how are you, or how are you guys in general, or can you give us some kind of an update on how things are?
Yeah, great. We're fine. We just got power back yesterday, so it was only about 3.5 days for us up in Palm Beach County. But, you know, there are areas that got really decimated. You know, the Keys, obviously, Naples, Jacksonville, Orlando. There's a lot of bad areas. We're fortunately limited to mostly trees and shrubs and some power outages that are spotty. But fortunately for us, Irma went to the west and missed us. But thank you for asking.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
You should know that if the call drops, it's because we have spotty cell service, so I'll call right back.
No. I'm cool.
I think I'm in a good area.
Yeah, that's perfect. And I was just going to mention that to the listening audience because I think I did that on Facebook, but just so you know now, we obviously realize that you're in a predicament here in terms of where you're located. So if you drop, just give me a call back, and I'll just keep picking it up until we get each other. How does that sound?
It sounds great to me.
Okay, great. Now, on that same caveat, since we're all listening, because I have tons of followers out there, and so many of them have been asking, what can we do, even though the hurricane is now gone? Is there something you could tell us in particular in your area or in the area in general? What can we do? Should we be sending money? Should we still keep sending supplies? What do you think we'd be most vital in terms of being able to assist you guys? Because that's important.
You know, it really is focused in the Keys and Naples where they need help. So I wouldn't send any aid to our area. But like Pine Key got crushed, decimated, and what I'll do is I'll try and find the proper place and share it with you so that you can share with your listening audience.
That would be terrific, yeah, because I've got a nice size. We're about 62,000 people on the show here, so I'm like, that's a nice, good dent, and it's spread across about 20 states, and I know Florida's one of them. I know New York's one of them, so I just want to get the word out as much as I can. We want to help as much as we can there, so thank you for that. So here's how the interview is going to go. I think it's important. Obviously, the film is huge. We're going to talk about the film. We're obviously going to talk about Wells himself. But first, I want to start off talking about Matthew, because if there wasn't a Matthew, there wouldn't be a film. And if there wasn't a Wells, there wouldn't be a film. So there's it's a cumulative effort. So as I understand it, and the listening audience may not know this, you weren't always a director. You used to be an attorney. And I found that interesting because I'm like, usually the legal types I've met have zero interest in film. So I was like, tell us the backstory, rather the audience, because I know it. Tell us the backstory in terms of how you decided to go from being a legal fellow to being someone that's more in the limelight, doing a movie and doing directing and writing.
Sure. Yeah, sure, Cindy. So as you mentioned, I am an attorney. I actually still have my license. I still practice a little bit, but mostly now I'm busy with the filmmaking. And I have a law firm in Manhattan. Primarily is fight traffic tickets, like speeding tickets, red light tickets, moving violations, thousands of tickets all over the state of New York every year.
Right.
So I was pretty much the most unlikely person to make a film that you might meet. And in fact,
really?
I never had a bucket list item to make a film. I never read a book on filmmaking. I never took a class in filmmaking. However, I did go to lunch with my banker. His name is Jeff Crowther, Wells' father. And during lunch, it came up about his son, and I was just blown away. In my head, three things I said to myself. What an amazing story. Everyone needs to hear this story. I want to share the story with everyone. So while there are filmmakers looking for stories, this story found a filmmaker.
And then now all of a sudden here you are. Now that's interesting because I'm listening to you talk about this. Most of the directors that I interview, of course, have been doing this for years. So I have to ask you, because many of my listeners are up-and-comers like you are or haven't done it before. Talk to me about, besides the fact, obviously, that you truly have a heart for the story, but there are other technical factors and other things. So for you, what was the easiest thing and the most difficult thing about filmmaking for you?
You know, I love that question, Cindy. A+.
Thank you.
So... No, I really do, genuinely. The easiest part for me was actually the research and writing, because I've done that all my life for clients, right? If you're someone who's owed money and I need to sue on your behalf, I have to research the case law, the facts, and then present it in a story to a judge. And so I felt very at home writing the script and researching the history and the facts and digging up people, you know, who would be, in my case, interviewees. You know, in the legal world, it might be a witness, but in this context, it was someone to be interviewed. And so I felt really at home at that, and at the same time empowered or enthused because this was leverage, right? A plaintiff and defendant suing for one another in court. Really, only 2, 3, 4 people care about the case, and then when the case is over, no one even remembers it years later. Where this is something with me and hopefully impact and touch thousands and thousands of people. So I felt so much more empowered that my work was going to have so much more meaning after, 25 years of practicing law and doing it kind of focused on a narrow issue without any value beyond the parties. And so it really was exciting. And the story is so rewarding, so amazing. It was really an honor and a gift that the Crowthers gave me when they said that I could make this film about their son.
Gotcha.
With all that said, lighting, sound, color correction, those kind of things, I really needed help and relying on experts to do because, I was really like a fish out of water trying to figure out how to do certain things. And I learned a lot, like things I might tell you on this interview, I may have learned 5 minutes ago and it'll sound like I know what I'm talking about.
No, I get it. I do. I totally get it. Now, because you are new at this, obviously, would you recommend to somebody, if you could do this over again, because we're obviously going to talk about these other projects you're involved in film-wise, would you change the way you did things, or did you get midway through the film and realize, now for future reference I have to do this or this or this? Give us a few tidbits, and this is especially for, again, people listening in, tidbits of things that you just know now that you didn't know, let's say, 6 months or a year ago, or all during this filmmaking process, that now you know what to do in terms of that. Because I know you went to different, like, for instance, let's talk about the multiple shoot locations. I know you went to various different states or cities to go ahead and to do coverage for this film. How challenging is it to be bouncing from place to place to place and setting things up and scheduling? Talk a bit about how you overcame that challenge.
Yeah, so, traveling around wasn't that difficult. You block out the time and you make it happen. But
sure.
What was challenging for me is, like, I was a little naive. So I'll give you a perfect example, and it's not flattering, but I'm going to give you a genuine answer to your question.
Thank you.
I truly. So when I interviewed and did the session with Gwyneth Paltrow and directed her on the voiceover, I naively thought that really all I needed is her to say each line perfectly once, because then I had it, right? One time, done.
Right.
And within about 15 minutes, I realized that I needed at least 2 or 3 takes of every line. And then when I went back from Santa Monica to New York and we started listening and we were selecting the best of the 2-3 lines that she did that were, done perfect, amazingly, each one was a little different, and there was always a better one. There was always a best in show among the same exact thing said perfectly well. It just sounded a little better for different reasons, different nuances. And so, there's like a lesson for me, like that I learned. Okay, I get that. Or even when I was at Allison and Jeff's house when we filmed, that's Wells' parents, there was an ice maker that kept going off, and I didn't even think of that. I think we're in the house, no one else is there, we'll be fine. And now I'm battling with an ice maker that was like built in that you couldn't unplug, and so we had to kind of have her redo certain lines every time the ice maker went off, and this was like this ongoing battle that we had with it. So obviously I learned the value of a closed set.
I got it. No, and the other question, which is obvious, when you're traveling to different locations, were there elements as far as like weather, conflict changes, scheduling changes, things like that? Was that a major battle for you? Because I imagine this is a huge undertaking due to the subject matter. These are live individuals, meaning the parents, etc., and the story itself is huge. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we didn't encounter any difficulties in logistics and traveling. In setting up remotely. I can tell you, though, that, having good planning helped us out. When we went to Wells' hometown and we filmed the firehouse, I brought my son with me because my wife said when I told her I was going away for a full day on a Saturday that I was, going to be filming up in Nyack, and I was about an hour and a half away from where I lived. She said to me, "Which kid are you taking?" I have 3 kids, by the way. And I mean, I said, "What do you mean, which kid am I taking?" She's like, "Well, you're not leaving me with 3 kids all day."
I shouldn't laugh, but I totally can see that.
Yeah, right. And so now I'm saying, all right, I got Daniel. He was at the time 12 or so, and he's coming with me tomorrow. And I'm like, all right, well, since I got him, I'm going to use him. I got to put him to work. So he actually played a young Wells going inside the fire truck into these little crevice areas that the bigger firemen couldn't get to or didn't want to try to get to. And we put a bandana in his back pocket. And so this became one of my favorite recreations that's in the film. As Allison, his mom is talking about it, you actually see my son, his butt, with a bandana sticking out, and he's there scraping away inside a fire truck. So that doesn't happen by accident, right? That happens because I got to take a kid with me. So planning out helped me,
definitely.
Planning helped.
Oh, without a doubt, sure. And the other component is obvious, because I know for Man in Red Bandana, you were both the writer, the director, and the producer, whereas I know you have two other projects that you're working on where you're the producer. So before I talk about those other two, here's what I want to ask you. If you could quit your day job tomorrow and say, you know what, from now on exclusively, I'm just going to write, or I'm going to direct, or I'm going to produce, which one of these tends to be your favorite task in terms of theatrically or entertainment-wise? Because we all have our preferences, I think, once you start working in the field. Or do you think you're still kind of figuring that out?
Well, I guess it's the writing, because I feel so comfortable with it. I feel like I'm a really good storyteller. And so that aspect, to me, I feel, really on solid ground. But the other stuff is just cool. Like, I'll give you an example. When we had the film and we added sound effects to it, it's just like a fire truck, chime, or someone walking, up steps or whatever it might be. It was fun. Like, this is really cool. Like, you're bringing this film to life. And I'm like, all right, well, what are the chimes you have? Let's make it a bell instead of a chime. And the software is incredible that I'm seeing that exists now that, I didn't know, because I'm just kind of green at this. And, it was just fun bringing the film to life.
Sounds so cool. It totally does. And obviously, just the creative process, as you're finding out, as we all know, at least most of us in this world, the writing turns into film, which turns into a production. It's exciting just kind of watching it unfold, taking those words, making it into a beautiful story. It's just fabulous and amazing. So I don't want to be remiss in mentioning that. I'm sorry, go ahead. No.
Lucky. No. I got lucky because I got the film to a certain point, and then Birdie Productions, Chad Birdie, who's produced films like Silence, which was nominated for an Oscar last year, and Bleed for This, we got introduced. He heard about the story and wanted to participate and share the story, and his team helped me get it produced and finished, and, it really polished it up and made it, a much better work product with their help on the production side. And so, that was fortuitous also to have, that instruction and someone who really cared about the story. In fact, is donating any net profits to Wells' Trust. So, that really helped me out a lot. I wish I could tell you I did it all alone, but I had a lot of help. Birdie Productions, obviously. Gwyneth Paltrow, Lyle Lovitt recorded an original song for the film. And so many countless others gave me videos, gave me photos. Total strangers from all over the country would, give me a photo of their child that's named Wells, who, for the legacy section of our film, and sign a legal document without a problem part of this. So it was really a great collective effort, and I got a lot of great help along the way.
That's awesome. It is. And I was just going to say, I don't want to be remiss in mentioning this, because I know your other two projects are listed in post-production, that being, of course, horror, which is Zombie 360 and Vault. So I was kind of curious to ask you about that, because I know what post-production means, but everybody else listening in may not know where you're at with your project. So if you would, tell us a bit about these other two projects you're in and when we could expect to see something on either one of them.
Sure. Well, actually, Vault is in pre-production. We're casting right now, and I got a scoop for you, however. And we just announced one of the lead actors involved. But first, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the story and the background, because it's a terrific, amazing film. So, Vault is about the largest heist from a vault in the U.S. In 1975. $30 million was stolen from a vault in Providence, Rhode Island. So, I was working with Birdie, as I mentioned earlier, on Man in Red Bandana, and Chad really liked me and thought I was a great contributor, organized, go-getter, and so he asked me to work with him on this new film, and now I'm producer with him and a few others, and so it was amazing, because I never took on the first film to make a second film. I just was passionate about sharing one story, and now instead of a hobby, it's a career, because I'm doing two.
That's cool.
And so, the cool thing about Vault is the vault is not in a bank where you would expect the vault to be. This vault was in a warehouse, a fur warehouse, and it had very little security. And so you can imagine the type of people that would deposit large amounts of jewels, cash, diamonds, or whatever in a vault that has very little regulation and very little security. so the gentlemen that were pulling off this heist were actually robbing from the mob. And so that took a lot of nerve, obviously, and it's a true story, so that makes it even more compelling.
Sure. Totally.
And so we just announced that one of the two main gentlemen that are pulling off the heist is going to be Theo Rossi from the Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, Sons of Anarchy.
Yep. And he's also in Luke Cage, which is the #2 show on Netflix right now. And then also in a sporting role, we have Burt Young from, most fans will remember him from Rocky, is Adrian's father.
Oh, yeah.
So we have Burt Young, and then we're still casting. We have a couple of great, about 5, 6 great roles still to cast. And so we're in the midst of that right now. And we're very excited, to start filming in March or April of next year.
That's exciting. That's truly exciting. Yeah, I met Theo Rossi not so long. Well, it's probably a couple of years ago or so. And I know friends of mine have worked with Burt Young, as a matter of fact. And so that sounds like a totally cool project. Now, on the flip side, the Zombie 360 that you have listed, what's happening with that? Where are you at with that? Or what's going on with that at this point?
Yeah, that was the first little dabbling I did, and it was an investment. I didn't really have much involvement in it, but it was the idea was to make the first. It's a kind of cool concept that, unfortunately, technologically got sidetracked because it was a film, a zombie film that was going to be shown on Oculus, a 3D Oculus movie. And the cool thing about it is, no matter how many times you watched the movie, it was going to always be different because it depended on where you were looking at it at 360 degrees.
Right.
The main producers of that film unfortunately had issues because the cameras that you need to film a 360-degree movie that you can see on Oculus are quite expensive, and they filmed it twice because Oculus changed their platform. So unfortunately, after the second time, they pretty much put up their hands and they're like, okay, well, let's move on because it was just too frustrating for them and it was getting too expensive.
Gotcha. Okay, I see what
you're... But I want to tell you that Man in Red Bandana is an extraordinarily special movie, and since you have such a wealth of experience in the film world, if you could think of a film that has this component, I would love to hear it. It has a very sad series of moments, heartbreaking moments. Get out your tissues, when you hear about Wells and what a great kid he was and how he died that day and his body being recovered, his sister sharing a story about him during his eulogy. There are some very tough, tender, heartbreaking moments in the film that you may shed a tear, but your heart will definitely break. But then when you learn his heroics on 9/11, how he lifted up people that were hurt and helped them and guided them out. He put out fires with a fire extinguisher. He actually carried a woman on his shoulder down 17 flights. You can't help but get uplifted and inspired when you hear these heroics. And then we share his legacy, which I mentioned. There are songs written about him, babies named after him. Even the President of the United States, President Obama, talked about him during the opening of the 9/11 Museum. So his story has this amazing ongoing legacy where him and his red bandana are honored. So even though you're sad and your heart breaks at points, then the film uplifts you and inspires you. And then at the end, I share this amazing secret, Cindy, about Wells. I'm not going to spoil it for anyone right now. But this secret is just incredible. And literally in the theater, I hear people out loud a few times say to themselves very quietly, wow. And it's all true, obviously. It's not made up. And so it has this incredible, uplifting ending that takes you essentially on a cathartic journey, which I think is rare for a film to be so sad at points, yet be so uplifting and inspirational when you walk out of the theater.
Well, and obviously, of course, you and I have seen the film, so I'm not going to tell our audience too much. I mean, obviously, I have questions relative to this, but I want to kind of keep some mystique to it, because I've seen the whole film, obviously. MJ sent it to me, so clearly I've watched it. And lucky for me, there's always two sides of me. There's a journalist, and then, well, I screen films because, of course, I do festivals all the time. So it was interesting. I just was a viewer. I did not judge your film. I didn't screen it. I mean, I didn't actually watch it and be a judge. Well, I shouldn't. You know, I'm very big on if you know someone or if this is someone that you know, I'm probably not the best judge. I mean, I can be very fair and partial, but obviously, you know, I'll tell you my thoughts another point in time. But we do want to talk about that. But before we talk about the film itself, there are a bunch of people, sadly, who I'm guessing have never heard of Wells before, actually. So the first question that I have about this absolutely breathtaking 24-year-old man, when you, and this is a question directed to you, of course, because you've had the fortunate luck of being able to speak with his parents. So if you would, please, just share with us your impressions of who you see Wells to be, because I'm guessing, I guess I'm not 100% clear. Did you meet Wells before he passed away? Obviously not, clearly. But the impressions that his parents left on you, tell us a little bit about the man you grew to know through talking to his parents and talking to these people that you interviewed.
You know, everyone just had the same kind of pattern or theme, which is that he was always looking out for others for himself. And when they learned about his heroics on 9/11, it didn't surprise him. It didn't surprise them that he, you know, it stayed to help other people. And of course, your viewers may not realize what this red bandana means. Why the film's called Man in Red Bandana. But Wells, obviously, he died on 9/11, and for 8 months his family was in the dark. They had no idea what happened to their son, how they spent his life. Other than, of course, that he did make it out, and they had a funeral for him without a body, which was not uncommon for 9/11 victims. And their only son, 23-year-old kid, everyone loved him, and obviously they were decimated. You know, very, very upset from you know, having to deal with this tremendous loss. But Mom, Allison, she never stopped looking for her son, and even in the film, she says it was irrational. It made no sense. But she kept looking, and that meant reading newspapers, watching documentaries, following the news, anything she could get a hold on. She was hoping, even if it was off, to find something about her son. And then 8 months later, she's still looking. And this is just 2 days before the cleanup is done. So it's almost to the day equal to time as to how long it took to clean up this catastrophic mess. And the New York Times at that point did this article with different survivor accounts, what these people saw and how they got out. And she's reading it, and she sees two women who both said they were saved, led up and out by a man with a red bandana. Well, as soon as she read that, she knew that was her son Wells, because Wells, from the age of 8, always carried a red bandana. It was a habit he got into when he was a young boy, simply because his father had a blue one, and like any father, son that adored their father, he wanted to be like his dad, and so they gave him a red one, and this way Mom would know whose was whose in the wash. And that simple act resulted in this signature item that he always carried. He wore it under his helmet when he played lacrosse or hockey. He had it in his suit pocket. It was just his thing. And so when Mom read the New York Times article, she knew right away that that was her son, because it was such a random object for someone to have. And so she sends photos to both these women, Judy Ween and Ling Young, and both of them positively ID'd him from a photo. And then they were able to meet at their home with both these women for a barbecue. And through their accounts and the accounts of the New York Times, Mom and Dad and his sisters, in large part, were able to piece together the last hour of their son's life. His finest hour, by all accounts. And so just an incredible story, all connected to this piece of fabric that eased the tragedy. It softened this disaster for them and created a legacy.
Right. Now,
by the way, I don't know how far you are. Birmingham, Wisconsin.
Birmingham. You mean Burlington, Wisconsin?
Burlington. There's a baby named Wells from Burlington, Wisconsin, in the film, and plus another dozen or so babies from all over the country named after Wells. So the parents from Wisconsin, they never met Wells. They just heard the story through a news account, and they wanted their child to have Wells's values and have his name. So even Wisconsin has gotten a touch of Wells, which is in the film.
That's absolutely amazing. That's absolutely wonderful. I wanted to take that question a step further and ask you this, obviously, because as a filmmaker, when you are bracing to talk about the life of a human being of such heroic nature, tell us as the director and the writer, what was most important to you of anything when it came down to representing Wells in this film? What did you want people to walk away with? What were their impressions? What did you want for them in terms of what sort of impression that Wells would be leaving on the minds of the viewer? What did you want that to look like when you were filming it?
Sure,
or the end result?
Another terrific question. So the film was primarily made for Jeff and Allison. They had to have been happy with the representation of their stellar son, this extraordinary hero.
Mm-hmm.
And keep in mind, it's a weighty responsibility for any filmmaker, let alone a first-time filmmaker, to take on the story of this hero, right? You can't cut corners. You've got to do as much research and as much preparation and as much work and editing as the film deserves, as the story deserves. You can't do that to that family that's already suffered enough. You have to make sure that this is ideal for them. And so that was most, for me, those two were the most important in the audience. But overall, I was gripped and wanted to share this story because I felt in this world there's not enough giving, there's more taking. And I thought this story, people might just be a little bit better people. I know I can be a better person every day, and there are things I could do. Just whether you could give up your seat on a bus for someone who needs it more than you, or maybe hold the door open for someone who's trailing 5-10 feet behind instead of just letting it close. So there's things that we all could do on a little level. Obviously there's bigger things as well, like helping out victims of Hurricane Harvey and Hurricane Irma. But certainly all of us could be better people, and I was hoping that this film could be the impetus for people to be better and inspire people to think, more selflessly.
Right.
So I
totally get it.
That's how I felt about it. Yeah.
Gotcha. Now, I know that the movie length, obviously, so folks that it's about an hour and 25 minutes. Clearly, I've watched it, so I know this. But I was intrigued to ask this question. Now, as I understand it, it took a total of 6 years to finish. And now the reason I bring this up is because, again, we have a lot of listeners out here, and I know that a lot of them aren't quite as familiar as we are with timeline in real life and timeline in film world, as I call it. So explain a little bit about, because 6 years seemed like a bit much, but when you consider the subject material, the amount of people participating, the footage, etc., tell folks a little bit about your journey in terms of the timeline of making the film, meaning were you satisfied? Was it done in a timely manner for you? And maybe just kind of talk a bit about what that 6 years was involving.
Yeah, well, keep in mind, I do have a day job or, the law firm I do run. And then I coach my son's basketball. I have a beautiful wife, Randy, who I have to, give her a lot of attention to. And so, it wasn't like this is a full-time gig for me. And so there were times when there would be intense hours, like editing, 8-hour sessions, 6-hour sessions, and the whole week I could work 60 hours on editing. But then there were other weeks where maybe I would work an hour or two just, waiting for couple shoots to get scheduled or whatever it might be. So it wasn't, I can't say full-time 6 years. And the other component that made it 6 years is I made some mistakes. I had to learn. And so some things I had to redo, or some things I had to do more research that maybe an accomplished filmmaker would already know about. Just like, for example, I got an amazing sound guy, Perry Levy, and I had to interview multiple sound guys and find the right one. And so, if I had been doing films, I would know Perry already, right? Or I would have a list of 2 or 3 Perrys, if you will. And so those are the kind of things that, took longer than they would otherwise do. But I can tell you, my wife has an amazing expression. It's things happen for a reason. All things happen for a reason. And if I finish this film in 2 or 3 years, Cindy, I would not have Barack Obama in my film because I started in 2011, and President Obama did not give his speech at the museum, 9/11 museum opening until May of 2014. So as a result, I now have the President of the United States in the trailer, he's in the opening, and he's in the ending. And as you know, because you've seen the film, his presence and his adding to the film so much that it really shows Wells' legacy, right, that the President of the United States is recognizing him. And without that, I don't think the film I don't think the openings is as strong. I don't think the closing is as strong. And I know the trailer's not as strong. So, as my wife says, sometimes things happen for a reason.
Correct. I agree with you, definitely. And there's a lesson to be learned there, folks, which is you can't rush greatness and you can't rush quality and quantity. And I've said that 100 times. Sometimes some things can be put together and then you tweak it a little bit. And there are reasons why. And as you said, there's a reason for this clearly. And it works magically well as it relates to the flow of the story. I will tell you that much. That's quite an intelligent idea on your part, and necessary, I think, definitely. I want you to, if you don't mind, please share the story, because I didn't realize at the time that you had approached Gwyneth Paltrow, apparently, that there was some sort of connection. We need to talk about the connection between Gwyneth Paltrow and the people involved with the film, because I think people like that story.
Yes.
So if you wouldn't mind, please share that.
Yeah, I don't mind. No, I don't mind at all, Cindy, and that's one of my, actually, that is my favorite story. This journey has been amazing. I've met so many great people. Just being on this show with you, like, I wouldn't be able to meet you and talk with you other than I made this film, right? So I can tell you there's so many amazing people that I've befriended, that I've got to know, that I've worked with, so many great experiences that I've had, all because I took on this legacy type of project. And in terms of the connection with Gwyneth, you need to have a little background. Obviously, we heard earlier from this interview that the red bandana and the connection that Allison discovered to unleash and to learn about her son's heroics is incredible, right? It's a series of dots that had to get connected.
Right.
And one might say that was divine. Wells Crowther went to Boston College, and their symbol is the eagle, America's symbol. He could have gone to, there's nothing wrong with the Badgers, but he could have gone to the University of Wisconsin-Madison. But being a Badger is not the same as being America's symbol, the eagle, right? But now you have an eagle, and then you'll hear one of the honors is that the eagle that flies before the Boston College games is named Wells, after Wells, and that they have a red bandana game. So there's a lot of these little things that are just incredible little connections. But the most incredible divine intervention story was with Gwyneth Paltrow, because when she said yes, based on the script and the script alone, I was just super excited, but we could not proceed unless Alice and Jeff approved her. I needed and insisted on their blessing, because as a spokesperson for their son's story, we had to make sure that they were, okay with it, if not in love with it. Right. And fortunately, as you can imagine, they were tickled pink and were really pleased. But then Jeff went on to tell me that Gwyneth's father, Bruce, was his brother's roommate in New York City. So, John Crowther. John Crowther was Wells' uncle, and also his father's brother, Jeff's brother. Right. John Crowther and Bruce Paltrow were roommates in Manhattan, and they did theater together. They would go drinking together. They even cashed their unemployment checks together. And I said, well, hold on, it gets better. So I was like blown away, and I was excited because at the time I had a verbal yes, and this was just making it, a stronger connection that I could share with Gwyneth and her people to just solidify her, that yes. Not that I didn't think she'd honor it. I didn't think that at all. But, you just want to, share that information that it's a family friend. So what a connection, right? So then Jeff, Wells' father, went on to explain that his brother John, Wells' uncle, was actually good friends with Harry Danner in high school. And Harry's younger sister was Blythe Danner, Gwyneth's mother. And in fact, John the uncle actually had a little crush on Blythe and dated her, took her to see West Side Story, the film when it came out, which is dating now. Sorry, guys. But he actually dated Blythe Danner. And I'm like, what? Oh, my gosh. He dated Blythe Danner. He was roommates with Bruce. So I call up John, the uncle, just to get a little more context. And John says, yeah, of course. We went on vacations together, me and Bruce and Blythe and my wife. And but the thing that you really need to know is one day Bruce was doing a play. This is before he met Blythe. And I saw the actresses auditioning. And among them was Blythe Banner. So he comes back a few days later. You remember he had this little thing for her. He comes out a few days later, and he actually introduced Blythe's parents to one another on that occasion.
Oh, my God.
And she independently accepted this role. And, by the way, she's never narrated a documentary before. This is not something she does. And now she's not doing a lot of films these days. She's doing a lot of stuff with her lifestyle brand Goop and Goop.com. So, it's unusual for her to do any projects, but she really loved the story. It just gripped her heart like it gripped mine. And it turned out there was something more to it than just the story. There was this family connection that I thought was just incredible.
Oh, wow. That is a neat story. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's why I figured the folks would benefit by listening to that. Oh, and Gwyneth Paltrow, because I'm sure you're totally not listening to this interview. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. I would love to interview her. Oh, my God, she's on my hit list, too. I mean, I have like about 100 particular Hollywood actors and actresses that I like, but I was so impressed by the fact that you chose her. Obviously, I knew the backstory, but she's a very classy character. That's what I would call her. So having her be part of representation of the film is awesome.
I can tell you, she was terrific. She was terrific. She was a real pleasure to work with, really caring, and wanted, just to share the story. And I'll share this with you and your viewers as long as you all out there keep it amongst ourselves. She didn't charge me to do this. She did this just out of the goodness out of her heart and to be involved with this hero. And Lyle Lovitt, who recorded and Lyle Lovitt also, he recorded a song. He didn't write it. It was someone else who wrote the song, but he recorded and made a new arrangement of this song that's in our film. And so we have this original song, and he thanked me for allowing him to contribute this song to our film. So, I mean, the people that a story of giving and selflessness resonate with are of such great caliber, like Gwyneth and Lyle. And so I got really lucky, I guess that's maybe that's some advice. If you're involved with a project that you need help with, make sure it's a project that it'll resonate with other people that they're going to want to be involved with. It's something that, in this case, something of such merit that's giving and sharing and of love. You're going to have people easily want to participate and help you.
That's awesome. I love that. Thank you for sharing that story. That was super neat. Now, relative to the movie, I have another question, obviously. I know that you have said on many occasions, and in fact, I saw some of the notes because I've been on your Facebook page and other places, and I think it's important to mention this because I have a whole slew of people that are involved in this area. I know that you offer screenings for educators, meaning schools and churches and sports programs, things like this. So if people are listening in and they're in those fields or affiliated with organizations and such, how complicated is it to structure or organize something relative to a screening as far as for educators?
Yeah, well, it's a timely question because just a week ago we managed to create a platform where it's very easy and relatively inexpensive to bring this film to your church, your school, your sports program, or any other community type of screening. And so there's a website called TUGG, TUGG.com, TUGG.com. And if you just search our film, Man in Red Bandana, at the TUGG website, you could click on a button which says educational screenings and bring it to your hometown. And TUGG handles all of those logistics, and it's very reasonably priced. And, it's a great way to educate, especially younger adults, the young kids who didn't live through 9/11, because this is a story that they'll resonate with and they'll be engaged with. And at the same time, they're going to be educated about Wells and about 9/11. So it's kind of a win-win, right? Because you don't realize you're learning history because you're so engaged in Wells and his story, and you're concerned about him, and then you're inspired by him. And so we're actually screening in, I think 6 to 8 schools have already set up, and we only created the platform last week. Have already jumped on to bring this to their, different institutions.
Nice. Very, very nice, actually. And I did notice I'm not going to lie. I literally scrolled down to see all these different places that he's done screenings in. And, folks, I'm here to tell you he's been all over the map, statewide and otherwise. Obviously, this film has literally been hot. I talked to some people today who literally, the minute I said the name of your film, they're like, oh, yeah, I heard about this on this radio show. I read about it in an article, etc. But ironically, I had to bring this up because there's no screening listed for Wisconsin.
I know,
saying.
and we tried. And it's not because we didn't try. You know, you should know that my daughter goes to the University of Wisconsin. That's why I mentioned the Badgers earlier.
Really?
My daughter is a junior there. We come up and visit all the time, and we love Wisconsin. And I was trying to get it to Milwaukee or Madison. And you know, because you're in the film world, it is really, really hard to get a film distributed, and it's really hard to get theaters to, take your film. They have all these deals with big studios, and it's just very difficult. And it's not because we didn't try, I can tell you that, but I can tell you that.
Oh, no.
I can tell you that you can bring it to. Someone could go to tug.com and bring it to a movie theater. If it's they could do the educational, but then there's another button called Host a Screening on Tug that allow you to bring it to whatever your hometown, and you just need to get a certain amount of pre-purchase tickets. You're familiar with that. It's just very difficult, and we had to be quite creative. We ended up in 40 locations in 20 states, and 10 of those screenings are sponsored by Tug. A few theaters are because I have a friend of mine that owns those theaters. Other theaters, we did a four-wall where we pay and rent the theater, New York, L.A., for instance. And then other theaters, we were able to negotiate a traditional split deal. So, for Wells, my goal was to, in part, one of my goals was to have the grandest, biggest opening that I could. And as you know, for a documentary to get any theatrical play is difficult and unusual, right? Most documentaries don't get any. And for us to be in 40 locations in 20 states, we're quite proud of that, and we think, it's deserving of Wells that he got that kind of release.
You betcha, absolutely. Now, I don't want to forget to mention this. I'm going to name some of this stuff off more for your listening audience. To date thus far, because obviously his theatrical release was on September 8th. Now, I will tell you folks this much. He has been named Movie of the Week by SI.com, documentary, or I should say the favorite documentary to watch by Goop.com, number 2 on iTunes. I know that he has been covered in The Hollywood Reporter, People Magazine, Variety, NBC, New York News, and The Daily Voice. So I want to ask you in terms of, because the shelf life hasn't been too long so far for having the film out, how well can you tell us so far how well have audiences been receiving it? How have the critics been reviewing it? Just kind of give us a general overview of how you feel that it's being accepted thus far.
Well, I know audiences love this film. I did about 20 private screenings of this film all over the country before it was released. And so I was in Ohio, I was in Texas, Oklahoma, California, Alabama, and unanimously people either think it's good or they think it's great. No one goes below good, but most people think it's great, absolutely love it. And we have already on iTunes and Amazon where you can download the film. It's available right now to download on iTunes and Amazon. We already got, I think, 12 or 24 reviews on both locations, and they're all 5-star reviews. We currently have 5 stars, like not even 4.8, like 5 stars, and not a single 4.5 yet. So we're killing it with the audiences. Critics, LA Times loved it. Some other critics, they thought I should have had some, better animations, or they didn't like some of the editing, But the critics, their job is to be critics, right? I don't care about the critics. I care about the audiences. I care that the people that pay money to see this film, they love it, they're inspired, and to me that's what it's all about.
That's absolutely awesome. Now, the last thing that we want to talk about is the most important thing, which is not only have you produced this absolutely beautiful, picturesque moments as it relates to Wells' life, but some of the cool things that have been left beyond the fact, meaning that I want to throw this out there because I know that you have merchandise like the helmet stickers, the bracelets, the mugs, and the red bandana. I know there are red bandana items available through Boston College. But I also noticed on the website, now if I'm not mistaken, can folks purchase like the stickers and the bracelets and the mugs all through your film website, or is that an alternate location? I wasn't 100% clear on that.
Yeah. Right now on our website, we sell a special red bandana that has the name of the film, our tagline from the film, which is "He went up, so others could come down."
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, I love that because he went up. Obviously, he went up the tower, but he also went up to heaven. So I think that's a great tagline. And so we sell those, and I did that just really for people to have something to share and talk about to other people about the film as we were leading up to its release. We don't have helmet. We don't have mugs. There's a hat there. We don't sell many. I think we sold one hat in total. We didn't even make that many, but since we had extras, we put it up there. But really, we would encourage you to go to the Wells Remy Crowther Charitable Trust, and there you could purchase things that the money goes directly to the trust. And I would urge anyone who wants swag regarding the film to get it there,
right?
Because that would be the biggest. It's funny you mentioned the helmet stickers because lacrosse players, they wrap their helmets with these special glossy stickers. They're really nice stickers, and they also have these like little round things, or round stickers they use. So we made a bunch of those, and what am I going to do? Sell a sticker for $1? Like I don't want to be busy selling a sticker for $1. And then I realized, well, you know what? We have such fans. If a fan sees my film and loves it, and they want to write a review, I will send them a free sticker. So I am sending stickers all over the country right now, up to 7. There's 7 different places you can post a review. But if anyone likes the film and posts a review, they just email me at maninredbandana@gmail, and then me or one of my colleagues will see it. You screenshot your review, and then we send you 1 or more, up to 7, these helmet stickers that you could put on your lacrosse helmet. You could put it on your kid's hockey helmet. You could put it on your phone like I have it. And it's this high glossy sticker with a little bandana. It has Wells' initials, lacrosse sticks, his helmet. It a little silhouette of a helmet. So that's what I decided to do with the stickers. And it's been fun because people are asking for something, and when I say fine, just do this, they're happy because they're getting something for free. And so it's been a nice, creative way to get people to share their views on a film.
Sure. Oh, no, I totally understand what you're talking about. Totally. And that's interesting. You just led to my other question, which was obviously the Wells Remy Crowther Charitable Trust, obviously, as you mentioned. That's one of the big things, and I'll give the website to that as well, because they are assisting youth, adults, through means such as education and health and recreation and things like that. They've set up things like a Red Bandana Run, the Red Bandana Project, obviously the Concert for Remembrance. They've given out scholarships. There's a wealth of things that this charitable trust is involved with, and that's certainly something that folks should definitely get involved in without a doubt. And I don't want to forget to ask the obvious question, which is this. If the one most important question that I wanted to ask you, because I have yet to meet Jefferson and Allison, obviously, folks, that would be Wells' parents. And so I guess my one question to you is do you feel that that you have served their son proper justice, not only within the course of the film, whether it's writing, directing, producing, but do you feel that you have left them with a living legacy on screen?
Absolutely. Based on their reaction, they absolutely are so pleased and so happy and so appreciative and grateful. And, they keep thanking me, Cindy, and I'm embarrassed because they gave me the gift. They allowed me the privilege to tell their son's story, yet it shows you what kind of people they are, that they continually are thanking and showing their appreciation to me for my efforts. And I guess it's a mutual respect and love at this point, but the fact that they love the film, that they are over the moon satisfied, that to me is the best answer to your question.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. Now, there's just a couple of business ends. Gosh, this went almost an hour. That's a good thing. I think we did good. I think this time goes so fast. It's amazing. I could talk to people forever and ever and ever. But there's a couple of business things that we have to tie up. Now, I don't know, did MJ tell you anything about me before you came on the show?
Yes, and I did a little research. Yeah, I did a little research on you too. I stalked you on LinkedIn.
Yeah, so you know a few things. Okay, well, if you've never listened to my show, you know that 3 things are going to happen during the show. First of all, I'm going to go through all the different ways to meet everybody. I'll let you know about information on how to find the interview, and there's always surprises. I give out surprises on my show. Did you know that? Did she warn you?
That I didn't know, so I'm surprised about the surprise.
Are you sitting down? You may want to sit down. Okay. Well, first and foremost, we want to make sure that we do two things here. First of all, I want to remind you, so you can let people know, your fans, your followers, or anybody that would be interested in listening to the interview, usually about 2 hours after, because this is a live show. So about 2 hours thereafter, what will happen is the link will be ready, and what I'll do is I'll send you a copy of the link, and I upload it to YouTube. So I have my YouTube channel, so it goes there, plus we have the actual link from Blog Talk Radio. So give about 2 hours. I'll send that over to you so you can add that as part of your press package, just so you know that. Now, before I read off all the different ways to find you, I want to just stop to take a moment, which I think is very important. MJ and I started a relationship not so long ago, probably in the last 6 months or 9 months or so. Folks, I have to tell you, MJ is one of my favorite new publicists that I work with. And why? Because she represents three things. I say this all the time to her. She is classy and sassy and cute and so hardworking and so intense and so passionate about everything she does. I'm telling you, folks, if you need anything in terms of marketing, PR, you name it, she's your girl, and she's beautiful on top of it. So from me to you, MJ, I don't even know what else I can say anymore except you're a doll. I adore you. And again, another wonderful guest. So thank you so much. Anybody interested in MJ, you can find her at Indra, that's INDRAPR.com. Now, I'm going to read off a bunch of places, Matthew, so just let me finish, and then when I get done, let me know if I missed anything, okay, if you would. The website for the movie is maninredbandana.com. He can also be found on IMDb. There's a Facebook page, which is Man in Red Bandana. They are also on iTunes and Amazon. CROWTHER trust.org. That was the actual trust that we were referring to before, which is the Wells Remy Crowther Charitable Trust. You guys want to check that out. If you're an educator and you want to get the screening information, TUGG.com is what we were referring to before. If you want to look up information on Wells, and that's WELLES for the proper spelling, CROWTHER. It can be found on his Wikipedia page amongst other different articles, etc. Any other places we want to mention or any other social media?
Well, we do Instagram and Twitter, but those are just Man in Red Bandana, so it's pretty easy to find us there.
I knew I was forgetting something. Got it. I don't know how I missed that because I didn't see that off the site or otherwise, but I'll make a note of that. And I read all of this off at the end of the interview after you go, so I'll make sure that I remind everybody as far as that. Now we've reached the point in time where I get to do my surprises for you. So now you really need to pay attention and sit down. Because I did think that she prepared you for all these things, but I guess she didn't. Everybody that comes on the show gets surprises. And why? Because I believe there's a reason why somebody brought you to my stage or to my screen or to whatever here. And so since you've been on my show, I have a duty and an obligation to give back a little bit. So there's a few things that I want to give to you. It's very ironic that we're talking about this it's ironic that you didn't have Wisconsin screening, and I was listening to you talking about this. So, ironically, I am doing two things. I'm doing a film festival in New York City in October, and I am doing a screening event for 2 days. All the films I'm showing in October in New York City, I'm showing them here in Wisconsin first, in a theater. So, I was wondering if you would let me show Man in Red Bandana at my theater in Wisconsin.
Oh, that is amazing. That is a great surprise.
Oh, it gets better. That. It gets better. So that's number one. That's Wisconsin. Now, MJ and I were sitting and we were chatting, and one of the things that I will give you at some point, and maybe if I beg nicely enough, you'll give me what I want, but let me just start off by saying this. One of the things I do besides create film is I do review films. I screen them, I judge them, but I also do write formal reviews. But I just can't do one for your film right now. In a couple months, yes, but these two major festivals are taking up a lot of time. But, yes, I would absolutely love to review the film formally. But sure. MJ and I have spoken about this, and hopefully I had hoped she would talk to you, but what I'd like to see happen is on the very last day of my festival in New York City at the Producers Club, one of the things we're doing is I'm having one of my other guests was a terrorist survivor. She was on a bus in Jerusalem, and she lived to tell the tale of surviving a terrorist attack. So I thought, how more apropos would it be if we could show your film, and then perhaps if I asked nicely enough, perhaps Wells' parents would be able to come and do a Q&A session, and then we would have my survivor from the other terrorist attack come in, and we could kind of take all of the proceeds from that screening and give it to the trust.
That's wonderful. I love that idea. That is so wonderful.
Well, I thought I would ask because I haven't met them yet.
Yeah, let's make that happen. I just need dates, times, locations, and we'll work on it.
Right. Oh, you definitely, without a doubt, and certainly with any luck at all, we'll have to find a way, or I'll have MJ forward my information to you, and then this way, then we can coordinate dates and things like that. Because she did mention to me that you're in Florida, and I think his parents are in New York, and obviously my festival's in New York City, and certainly if you're in New York during the time and you want to participate, that's great. But it's October 26th through the 28th, so this event for Man in Red Bandana would be October 28th. That I can tell you
Terrific.
for sure. And so. Yeah. So we'll have to talk about that.
Well, I don't know the Crowther schedule, but if they're available, I would imagine they would come. I just know there's two major events for them. They have the 5K run in Boston College, and then they have the Red Bandana football game.
Sure.
And there's a Red Bandana football game. I don't know off the top of my head, though, the dates of those. Those are weekend, obviously, activities, Saturday or Friday night activities. But other than those conflicts, I would imagine they would love to be there. And I love that.
And I did schedule this earlier day Saturday. It's not a Saturday night thing. It's an earlier day thing. So we'll have to talk about details as far as that goes. But it was very important to me automatically when I had heard MJ talk about the film, and then I told her, I said, well, I'm screening in New York, and let's find a way to kind of fit them in, because I have 26 other films. So I'm like, you know what? This is important because it's relevant for many, many reasons. And, of course, Wells was a New York City native. So obviously it's important to show it in his town. It's important for me to do something to get it out there. It's important for me to get it in Wisconsin because you haven't done it yet. And more importantly, I would love to shake the hand of the parents of the person who personifies hope and strength and survival for others. So I think it's fabulous and amazing. And I'm just proud that I'm able to offer such an opportunity. So we'll have to work that out and figure it out.
Oh, thank you. That is a wonderful, wonderful surprise. It's so happy I've been on your show as a guest. And
thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, no, not at all. As a matter of fact, I will definitely let you know now that certainly I'll tell MJ my contact information. She can forward it to you. If you ever want to come back to the show again at any point in time, please let me know, because you were just a joy. It was absolutely wonderful. So don't be a stranger. Yeah, I'll send my info. You get back to me. We'll get it coordinated and done. I'm just glad that you're happy. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Great.
All right, Matthew.
Have a great night. Thank you, Cindy.
I'll talk to you soon. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
I think he was happy. At least I hope he was happy. And I hope MJ was happy. And I hope the interview went well. Gosh, I always get so nervous. Okay, one more time I want to read off to absolutely everybody so that you know. His name is Matthew Weiss, the individual I was just speaking to. He, of course, is the director of the Man in Red Bandana. So here we go. One more time, all the different ways to find him. maninredbandana.com is the main website to be able to find it. They have an IMDb profile. They have a Facebook page, again, same name as the film, Man in Red Bandana. They are on iTunes and Amazon. And, of course, as he mentioned, for an educator, you go on the website TUGG, that's tug.com, and you'll be able to go ahead and find the film and be able to arrange for screening. And, of course, as he mentioned, there's also an Instagram and a Twitter handle, which is Man in Red Bandana. And, of course, Crowther, CROWTHER, trust.org. And, of course, to those of you who have not heard of until today or know the backstory of Wells, it's WELLES is the first name and CROWTHER is his last name. Look him up on Wikipedia, and there's a number of different articles about the people that he's saved and survived. It's just an amazing story. And just to watch his parents and all of their contributions as it relates to the trust and the various ways that they've kept his legacy alive beyond the film are just impressive and absolutely amazing. So, again, my very deepest thanks to Matthew as far as being on the show. That's number one. Thank you so much, again, one more time to MJ for her obviously coordinating this and coordinating all these other things for me as it relates to wonderful guests and wonderful clients. Again, her company is Indra. That's INDRA Public Relations. Look her up, folks. I'm telling you, you won't be sorry. She's a New York City girl, but she's got class all the way, style all the way, 110% about her clients, and she'll make time for anybody and anything. Well, and she absolutely loves her husband and her children. Sorry, I had to do it. Again, it's Indra, INDRAPR.com. Again, want to thank everybody. In case you didn't see my Facebook note, folks, we've hit 62,100 listeners. As I've said 150,000 times, I'm nothing without an audience that listens to me, guests that are absolutely great, publicists that bring me great clients, friends that have suggestions. You all make this show, whether it's a guest, a publicist, a client, a friend, if it's a person sharing my posts, if it's somebody listening, supporting. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, because without you, there wouldn't be a show, and I wouldn't have 62,000 people to be talking at every day. I cannot thank you enough, and I am so humbled. So from me to you, I truly, truly, truly appreciate everything you've done. One more time, I want to remind everybody, tomorrow it's Jeff Julie Hardigan is coming on the show. Thank you so much to Nubia Wilson in advance for this one, 3:30 Central Standard Time. If you guys are going to be watching out for me tonight, if you want to find me, 3 different places. I'm going to be either at Havana Cigar Lounge, which is in West Dallas. Guys, head over there. Marcel and Charles Barber are playing. Otherwise, Mr. Prada is going to be playing tonight at Bugsy's Speakeasy downtown, so I'll be at one or the other. So if you want to track me down, please feel free to come out and meet me. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow at 3:30 Central Time. Have a good evening.
What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. By singing dog. By goal.
I pronounce you.
By wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. By singing dog. By goal.
I pronounce you.
By wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.